Hi everyone, welcome to the next video in this series of the Little Islands from Small Victories by Johanna Basford, and we're on the second island today. We are using Black Widow's pencils for this series, and I am hoping that you'll be able to colour along. Let's have a I'm trying to just straighten up a bit. There we go. Now I'm going to start with the water again. Now yesterday I said I wasn't sure whether I was going to do my water always in the same way. I don't think I will. I think today I've got a little idea for a mix of colours. I thought I might start with this, hang on, no, not with that. I had this idea, bear with me. I was going to start with the Forget-Me-Not from the Black Widow set. It's very blue, and then I was going to add a sort of greenish colour on top and see what happened. So I'm going to go fairly lightly. We want the blue to show up, but we don't want to burnish it down into the paper. I've got these little lines on the water on this one. It's got lines here. Now I had thought maybe I could colour that as if there was a little bit of beach or something, but I think I might just leave those because none of the others do that, so I will just not colour those. Now because we're adding another colour on, I'm not too worried about making it look too even. In fact, quite the opposite, because it's water. If you think about looking into the sea, it can look different colours depending on its depth. So I'm sort of thinking maybe it doesn't matter if it's not all the same colour. We'll see whether that ends up being a wise move or not though. I'm going to add some venom. This is from the Cobra set. And as I did with my last one, I'm sort of going to add it in patches and see how it looks. It doesn't look quite as neat as yesterday's water. You can't see much of it, but I'm just giving it a go. I feel like it needs a little bit of something. I'm having a look. I sort of want to mix it together with something. I wonder if that will work. I'm looking at my colours. I'm thinking, will this olive gold work? It'll give it more of a sort of dirty, swampy colour. I'm just wondering how it will work. Oops, trying not to go out of the lines, but I haven't sharpened it. Just going to sharpen it. I keep having to put something down on the page so that when I sharpen it doesn't curl up, because I think it's irritating. It is for me. I don't know if it is for you. The other page does anyway. Okay, so I'm just going to go over with this. Now it's a bit sharper. It should stay in the lines a bit more easily, even for me. And actually I think a slightly warmer tone is going to work, because I'm thinking about what I'm going to do with this picture. I sort of want to fill in the gaps, as it were. Very different colour, and I think that's good. You know, you can obviously choose which colour you want to do and whether you want them all the same. I prefer yesterday's colour, but it's nice to have something a little bit different to show you. Okay, now this sort of island, I thought we were doing a sort of red earthy colour just to be a little bit different. So these stones also in a slightly red earthy colour but a little bit darker. So I'm just having a look. I have got a chestnut colour here in my Cobra set, and I thought it might work. I'm just going to sharpen it though, because we've got a lot of little details to colour around. It's some very big leaves, isn't there? Enormous. So I'm going to start in the most fiddly areas, so here. So it's quite red, but sometimes earth and rocks are really quite red. Depends where you live. Where I live, they're very, very pale, like a really pale yellowy beige. But in some parts where father-in-law lives, his soil's very red. And he's not that far away, you know, well, less than an hour. So, you know, it just shows that it can change quite quickly depending on where you are. Now, this little bit that I'm colouring around here now, I'm not sure what they are. I had wondered if they were lights, but I think I'm going to colour them as leaves. Partly because I think that probably makes more sense, but also it's a lot easier. I think, I mean, that bit I'm doing now could be a bit of this bush, but I think we'll do it as a bit of the rock. It doesn't matter which you do, I don't think. I'm just trying to keep it reasonably even, reasonably intense, but not too worried about it being, I mean, it's not going to be exactly even anyway, but I don't think it would be, you know. And we're going to do those little stones in front next once I'm happy. That's a little bit dark, I think it'll be fine. And I want a sort of really dark reddish brown. Let's see what I've got. What's that? I'm wondering if this brown bug might be the right colour, but I seem to remember it's a bit purpley. No. It's a weird colour. I'm going to do it anyway. So brown bug. Yes, some of the colours are a little bit odd, but I think it'll work. Ideally, I'd like to colour these so that they're a little bit lighter in the middle, but because of their size, I may struggle. I'm going to try. So what I do is I just try and put more layers on the edge and a little bit less in the centre, but it's tricky. Oh, I think my clock's working again. When I finished my last video, I checked the time and it said it was midday. And I was like, no, it's absolutely, definitely not that time. It's actually 10:20. So I've changed the clock, and I'm not sure whether it's just whether the battery's gone. Now these little ones that I said, I'm just going to actually grab my chestnut. Just colour that bit in. I missed that bit. There we go. So these little ones, because they're small, I've coloured over them a lot, you know. So I'm going to use a dark green to cover them over with, so hopefully no one will notice that I went miles over the lines. I'm going to pick the opal green from the Cobra set. There you go. To do these. I'm just going to block them in because they're little. Now, doing this is revealing to me that the muddy bit that I did in the background hasn't gone all the way up to the edge of every leaf. I can see white areas around them. That's not at all surprising. Excuse me, and I will come back. I need to try and remember to come back and just redo those a little bit so that it's covered over. Right, I'm going to grab a nice colour, the olive green, to do these small leaves. We're just going to sort of work up the page, I think. Now, where they're overlapping, they'll be a little bit darker. So I'm going to try to just do more layers near the edge of that leaf. They are enormous, aren't they? This is as big as the house. So just putting in more just at the top. Well, it's actually the base of the leaf and a little bit less to the tip. don't know whether you can really tell the difference, to be honest, with this shade of green. You could go back into the onto the leaves and put a really dark line in there with a much darker green or even a black. I think this is probably going to be enough. Okay, now those big leaves I think I'd quite like to come forward and sort of stand out as a bit paler. I am actually going to use the Cobra. I've sharpened the name off. That's actually the name of the brand. Wow, but I know this is called Cobra, this colour. So I'm going to do them with this, and it's a very nice, I think, sort of yellowy green colour. And it will probably go quite well with the water because we've got that sort of swampy yellow in there. And again, I am just colouring this quite plain because of the colour that I've chosen is quite pale. I just want to make sure there's enough down so it's intense enough for you to see it without worrying too much about shading and shadows. At the moment I may decide to go in with another shade to just put in some shadow. I probably will, but you don't have to. If you like it as it is, just leave it. That looks really green, doesn't it? I'm tempted to put a bit of this on top. This is a bit high on this corner where it's on top of the other book. I've got a book underneath to lean on. It's the best way to best book to put underneath when you're colouring is the same book, and then it seems to be the right thickness and work nicely. But I don't have 2 copies of Small Victories. So I'm going to go over the top of these in this. I think it might just tone it down a bit. And now I'm going to grab the colour I used for the rock, which was the chestnut. Oh, we're very wonky, aren't we? There we go. And just go back over it where I haven't gone right up to the lines. Just tidying it up in the sense of going over bits where I've missed significant areas or bits that look a little bit too light, that sort of thing. And just for my own satisfaction, there we go. It's quite difficult when you've got small areas to go around to get it looking quite right. There we are. Now, what I think I'm going to do is use a dark brown. I might use the mud. We did use that yesterday. Well, and I'm going to just put in a little bit of shadow under there. Just a stroke of brown, and then where these overlap each other, and it can give just a slightly more three-dimensional look. And I'm going to do it where they're laying on top of the whatever this is, hill, bank, don't know. And it can just help just a little bit. I don't want to do it too much. You can make it really obvious by really piling in a thick layer of dark shadow, but I'm not interested in that. I just want a little bit on this particular picture. There we are, and I'm going to put a little bit behind these piles of rocks as well. I'm going to make that a little bit more. And it will make it look like they're hopefully piled up in front. A little bit better. It's quite a pale colour, but I think it'll work. Now we've got these 2 big bushes to do next. Because I've used these sort of olivey colours, I'd quite like to stick with those sorts of colours. I am actually going to use the forest, which I think is more of like a hooker's green. Well, it's like a hooker's green in Castle Arts rather than Polychromo's. Polychromo's hooker's green is more, has got a bit of bluish in it, I always think. Whereas this may be more like a Prussian green from Castle, or a chrome green, maybe, something like that. So I'm doing a sort of scribbly motion, scumbling we call it rather than scribbling, to try and emphasise this sort of bushiness of the bushes. And on the very edges I'm going to put a more intense line, just to again create that slightly three-dimensional look, or else if we don't do it, it'll look a bit weird because we've done it everywhere else. Let's draw in that a little bit more. There we go. Oh, we've gone all squiff again. Now the building, I had thought about doing it red, but I think our reds down here are quite red. So I was thinking, would orange work for the building? I know. We'll use a sort of peachy tone. I've got this, oops, I'm going to drop this colour called Tanned from the Scorpion set. Oh, it needs to sharpen quite desperately. Very blunt. I'm going to use this for the walls of the building. And then maybe we will use a red, but then we've got a red roof on our one that we did yesterday. So that's going to look the same. Sort of aware, gosh, this is quite faint, I'm going to have to work it. I'm quite aware that if we keep using the same colours, then we'll have to keep using the same colour. I'm not making any sense. If I do 2 red roofs, then I'll feel like they all have to be red. And I don't want to do that. We haven't got roofs in every picture anyway. So I think I'm going to just procrastinate and do the window. Yeah, I'm going to do the window in this mustard. And then the roof, nice welcoming light in the window. I'm just looking through. We've got, I don't know if that's too, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try this dark tan. To me it doesn't look much different to the tanned. I'm just going to sharpen it. There we go. And if it's, or you can use some other colours with it if necessary. It's definitely darker. I'm going to put down a sort of medium pressure colour that all in. And then I'm thinking, because we've got this sort of wibbly wobbly, I think we need to emphasise the these. I think these might be dips. So I'm just going to go over those black lines a bit more. I might want a darker brown. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe I could use the tarantula. Need to sharpen. Sorry, bear with me. The tarantula is from the Spider set. Here it is. And I'm going to try to use that to just emphasise the fact that I feel that the roof is dipped in where these lines are. So I'm just going to go either side of them with the tarantula. It is, I realise it's shedding a lot of bits, which is Just want to make it hard for you to see the effect. Hopefully it's creating an effect. I think there would be some right on the edge there. That edge is too thin. Let's brush it off. I don't know if that has helped, but I think it looks okay. Now underneath the roof there will be some shadow under here, and I'm going to continue with this tarantula and just put a little bit in under here. There we are. Now we've got our trees. Oops. I'm wondering whether to do some charcoal green for these trees. It might not be the right colour, but I'm going to start with it and see. It's quite a grey green. I also think it's a bit like the Polychromo's earth green, but it's just a little bit different, which I rather like. I don't know what these trees are. I mean, I'm sure it doesn't matter. Oh, we haven't done the top of the roof, have we? How many of you noticed? How many of you told me I need to go in there? Oh, I can hear a train. I had train strikes yesterday. There were no trains. It's very quiet, but they're running again today with a few delays. But my son very sensibly got a very early train in, much earlier than he needed, so that he could guarantee he got there. Because he wants to make sure he got into his school. I'm going to put another layer. I think I want them to be a little bit darker and a little bit neater. And then while I'm doing this, I need to think about what I'm doing on the top of that building. I'm thinking got a lot of browns going on, so maybe I'll use a dark brown. Might use the choctone, is that what it's called? Yeah, some dark skin tones. There we go. I'll just grab that one. Oops. Choctone. You're not in the middle either, are you? There we go. There we are. Now I am going to put a little bit of white in the water, just like I did yesterday. Now we've got some lines drawn in already, those black lines, and they're sort of ripply, so I'm going to put in some ripply white lines as well. I'm not going to try and cover those black lines because I think they'll just disappear. My white won't show up that well anyway, so I think it's nice to leave them in there because it just adds that feeling of movement into our water, which I think is really nice. So I am done with that one. If you wish, you could put a little bit of a darker line where these trees overlap that one, but I'm going to just leave it there. I think having the shadows under this makes this bit stand out more, and that's what I want. I don't know why, I just like this bit standing out. So there we go. But you can do that if you wish. Just put a darker, get a what would I use? Like the fan green or something like that, or the forest. Just do it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a really lovely day and happy colouring.